Matt and I have come down to the big garden early this morning. We're going to try to harvest a lot of the corn so that we can put it up so we can enjoy it this winter. We've been enjoying it. We all have been enjoying it already fresh. It's so good. It's not the most beautiful corn patch that's ever been grown right here. Kind of pitiful looking, but the corn has been really tasty, so we'll count that as a success. Hopefully today we can get a lot of it and get it put in the freezer so that we can enjoy it in the coming months. We're going to, of course, share some of it with Granny too. We've been doing that. Her and Paul's been enjoying it. It's kind of sad as the garden comes to an end in one way. Of course, there's always a relief too. You're kind of relieved that some of the hard work's going to be done and you're going to have a little respite, a little break during the winter. But there's always a little sadness too when you think about harvesting something and tearing down what's left of it. This is one of the peanut bean plants. See, it looks pretty good. This is where the deer had eat on it back earlier in the year, but I think it's just too late for them to make anything. Do have some blooms. There's one or two beans, but not very many. This is the row of butter beans, pretty much the same thing. They're looking really good now, but I'm afraid it's just way too late. You can see down in there some of the places where the deer had eat them in the beginning of the summer. We've been getting a few squash and zucchinis from the ones we planted down here, but you can really tell they're kind of on their way out now, so I'm not sure we'll get anything else. We finished up getting the corn. Now Matt's searching for some potatoes. I don't think we made very many down here, but there's at least 3. Of course, he's just using his hands. It'd be easier if he had some kind of tool with him. There's a little bitty one. Little ones eat too.
Yep, they do.
There's one right over there. The watermelons we had growing down here, that's about the only one that's left. The other ones kind of broke open from the dryness and then the abundance of rain that we got. So I hate to get that one now, even though I'm afraid something may happen to it, but it's still got green leaves, so I guess I'm going to leave it a while longer. Well, we made it back up to the house with our corn. We took Granny a whole bucket of corn too. We did leave some so that we could enjoy eating it. Probably have to eat it the next week or so though, so we didn't get every last ear, but we got a lot of it. He's fast, wasn't he? The smell of suntan lotion in summer. Matt's probably hoping for the smell of wood smoke.
You got that right.
I think we're crooked. That's a little better.
sure you're crooked.
I am, I guess. Matt's about fell out on me this morning. He got overheated and had a headache already, and so we had to, he's already come unfed. He got the weak trembles, as we would say. He got weak, so we had to go in. He ate a peanut butter sandwich, feels better.
Yeah. I think I might make it now, possibly.
He's longing for the first frost.
You know, about right now, it just makes me mad, this heat. That's irrational and stupid, but it's just a fact. There ain't no reason in the world it ought to be this hot and humid. In my estimation.
It's the nature of where we live. Look at the apples on that tree. How did I not know that many apples was on that tree? I told you there's a bunch on it a month ago, and you said, ah, whatever. We need to get those.
What are we going to do?
There's several on them. Put them up, dry them maybe. It has been very, very hot and humid this week. Just seems like the hottest weather we've had. I don't know if it is or not, but
it's been awful hot. It wasn't like this last year. I mean, it was hot, but it wasn't. It just didn't feel like this.
And our ample rain we had has turned back to dry. It's drying out again if we don't get some in the next day or two. Everybody, and us included, thought we might get some from the hurricane, but we didn't. It missed us totally, so we didn't get any rain from that. I feel sorry for people who got too much rain. Again, it's one of those things makes you wish you could spread it out the way it needs to go, but of course you can't do that. I think it was in last week's video, Sunday night video, Matt said he wondered if when things start dying back, if they'll go faster. We were talking about how it's strange. Our gardens look more like June, kind of, instead of August, because we were so dry, and then we did get a lot of rain, regular rain, and everything really flushed out beautiful. But Matt said he wondered if things would just, when they start dying back, if they just go quickly. Well, I think that's what's going to happen. Because you can begin to see it around the edges now that we've had this really, really hot week with no rain. You can see it. See it in the squash and zucchini down at the big garden. I think they're done. They've made what they're going to make this year.
Starting to see it in the tomatoes a little.
Start to see it a little bit in the tomatoes on the bottoms of them. So, but again, it is August, so.
It's time.
Yeah. It's just that all that rain we had flushed everything out, and it was like, wow, we're just starting the garden.
It confused your seasonal senses.
Yeah, for sure. So we're so excited to get that corn. It's certainly not the best corn patch that's ever been grown right there, but it did grow corn, and we've been enjoying it. It's so good, ain't it?
It most certainly
so good. And Granny's been enjoying it, and Corey and Austin, all of us. So we've really enjoyed it. And we've got our work cut out for us now. We'll have to put that up later today. And what we do with our corn is that we're not big fans of, I like it okay, but we're not big fans of creamed corn. Granny makes creamed corn again a lot, and hers is good. But so when we put it up, we just blanch the corn and then cut it off and then put it in the freezer. And then when we cook it, when we get a bag out to cook, we just put that corn in a pot and put like a little butter in it and just gently let it warm through with the butter, and that's it.
And some salt.
And some salt. Yeah, really simple and really easy. Easier than like canning or freezing, whichever way you want to do it, creamed corn. We've never canned corn. We've never done that. Matt's daddy makes wonderful pickled beans and corn. Wonderful.
Look, have a mess of that.
I've wanted years ago, and I can link to it in the description below. I got him to show me the whole process, and I documented it on the Blind Pig and the Acorn. I'd love to do a video, you know, now that I'm doing videos, and let him talk about it, but it's just never worked out to where we can. We need to just ask him to come out here and do it out here. tell him we'll get all the stuff.
We'd have to have all the stuff, and the signs have to be correct and all that.
Mm-hmm.
He does do a fine job of that.
Oh, it's so good.
And his pickle, just plain pickled corn is good too.
Yeah. We've done pickled corn a few times, just a few jars here and there. But mostly we just eat what Papa Tony gives us. We get the easy way out on that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Matt and I, every year when the garden starts kind of winding down, you start thinking about what really did good, what didn't do so good, but what you might change for next year, or what you want to do exactly like you did. Now this year, it was stacked against us because of the weather. There just ain't nothing you can do about that. Although even that, Matt wants to try to figure out, a way to irrigate the big garden and maybe even do some of that up here other than, watering with, right now we just water with hoses and hand water with watering cans, but we didn't water the big garden any, so that might be something we think about, or Matt says he's going to think about it during the winter, try to figure out a system.
I think I've got it figured out.
You think you got it figured out? We just got to do it.
Well, I've got it figured out, but I've already put that idea to bed so that it don't interfere with my other plans.
Right now, Matt's in full focus of deer hunting.
Right. And I can't multitask. I've got to do one or the other.
How many days is it?
29 days, I think, till it opens here.
29 days?
Yep.
So Matt mostly hunts right here at home and then in Georgia with Papa Tony, and that doesn't open till later? Or?
Yeah, it'd be on up toward the middle or end of October. I mean, bow season will open earlier down there, but I don't bow hunt down there because it's so hot.
So when it opens in a month here, that'll be bow season, won't be gun season.
Yeah, and it's kind of changed this year. We're going to have a really long bow season. So, and that's fine with me because I like it, I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we all enjoy the meat that Matt, he's a meat hunter. That's why he hunts, is so to feed us. So we all enjoy that. But I think this year, me and Granny especially will be enjoying knowing that those are the deer that ate our garden.
Yeah. Yep.
Like in the big garden, the peanut beans and the butter beans, for one thing, we got them planted late, so that's not good. But we still planted them in plenty of time that they would produce. But then combination of the drought, basically, or dry weather, and then the deer nibbling them off to the bottom, and then to where they've come back out. But there's, again, the season's almost gone. So that's why we probably not going to get anything off those, I wouldn't think.
No, I don't think so.
And we planted the potatoes down there later.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they should have made, and we'll go through and get even if it's just those, like the handful Matt got today, but make sure we get them all. But the drought didn't help that either, and we planted them late. Tomatoes are still getting tomatoes though, and cucumbers. Even in the middle of the crazy dry weather, the cucumbers have just been a real high spot for me because the pepper spray has at least kept back the squash bugs to the point that they've actually, there's still new growth on them this time of the year, and usually the last 2 years they've just decimated them. So that's good.
Yeah, stuff's worked well.
Mm-hmm. Next year we need to make sure to grow a lot of hot peppers so we can use the hot peppers in them, in the spray. Are you going to eat them too? Grow enough for you and the thing. What's Binks doing? Jumping?
He's after a grasshopper.
Just seen something go by, him jumping through the air. Have to grow enough for you and for the pepper spray.
Yeah. I've really not eaten any peppers this year.
We've eaten a few of those gypsy ones, and that's about all. Maybe one or two of the cow horn peppers.
I've not eaten any of the jalapenos, and that's what I just forget, I guess. I need to get in there and get to eating
I
some.
think we grew 2, so you've not had a good chance.
Is that all?
Yeah, our peppers have not done that good this year. For one reason, we didn't have as many as we usually do, but yeah, not been the year for peppers for us. I guess when you was a boy, this time of the year, you was dreading going back to school, but excited about the prospect of getting to go hunting.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a major conflict, because I hated school so badly, and I can't describe how badly, but at the same time I got to go hunting too, so.
It was a trade-off.
Yeah, it was.
Thinking about, because this garden year has not been the best at all, but still, of course, we were thankful for what we have got, and we had plenty to eat because we can go to the grocery store and all that. It makes you think back to those days when they depended on it. This week I've shared an old picture from the archives at Western Carolina University, but of a gentleman, and he was in Tiger, Georgia. I don't know if you've seen that picture. JT maybe was his name. Anyway, but it's just him, like an older man with his overalls, pulling a sled, and on that sled it looked like it was fodder, which is like dried corn stalks or parts of the dried corn stalks. Anyway, so I've shared that picture, and I love those old pictures. I've talked about it before, but I can link to that digital resource, and you can go, and it's just fun to look back through the wonderful pictures. Anyway, it made me tell a story about fodder. Pap, we've never done that, never had to, because we don't have animals, never had to worry about feeding animals through the winter, but of course when Pap was a boy they had to, and they didn't grow sweet corn like we grow. The Silver Queen is a white sweet corn. They grew field corn, or hickory cane, one of those, hickory king, hickory cane, lots of different names for them. But it was a corn that dried good, that could be turned into meal, also fed the animals, but then they even used the corn stalk, even took it apart, I think, about that. And like our little cornfield, they would have been like, pshaw, I can do that in a day.
Right.
But you think about those massive cornfields they had, and just hand doing all of it, cutting the, Pap described it to me, cutting the tops out, tops of fodder, and then going back and tearing all the leaves and putting them in bundles and having those hands of fodder, and making sure they used every bit of it so that they'd have enough to feed their animals through the winter, and of course taking care of the corn too, so they'd have enough to feed themselves. But it's just such a different time, and me and Matt are worked to death thinking, that little field, but that's nothing. Yeah. And we have the tractor and the tillers, and they didn't have none of that.
Yeah,
such a different time.
They had it way harder than we do. They were tough.
Oh, they were tough, yeah.
We ain't.
And even if they got the wheat trembles, they probably did get the wheat trembles sometimes, but they couldn't go to the air-conditioned house and sit for a minute and get their breath. And yeah. Of course, we didn't come back up here first. We went to see Corey. When you're that close, you got to go see the baby. So we went and checked on her in Woodrow and got to hold him. And I've got evidence of that where he spit up on my shoulder, and I think Matt's got evidence of Olive where he's got dog hairs on him.
Yeah.
So I had to go visit with them. They're doing good, and little Woodrow's really cute and gaining weight and getting to be a little chubby baby.
He's growing like a weed.
He is growing like a weed. It's unbelievable how fast they're both growing. Him and Ira. Really sweet babies.
Yep.
We're all just in love with them. It's funny how that happens. And a lot of people told me that when you have grandkids, there's just nothing like it. You'll just be so in love. And of course we have been, but then there's part of your brain that's like, how did we make it without them? I mean, like, haven't they always been here? No. They're not even a year old. So, but it's like, how did our little family make it without both of them? Papa Tony used to tell Corey and Katie that they was growing like a weed, growing too fast. He was going to put a flat rock on their head to keep them from slow them down, keep them from getting any bigger.
Yeah, and they couldn't put that together, could they?
No.
They didn't. They about half believed him. They come and ask me, was he going to really put a rock on my head?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, you better look out.
Yeah. Katie probably liked it. She's probably thinking, well, I hope it's a nice, pretty one.
Yeah.
Probably. Was it last week or maybe week before last, Katie was actually on the front page of our little local paper.
Yeah.
Talking about, one of the reporters did an interview with Katie about her rocks and about, being a lapidary artist. That's something people don't think about a lot, but anyway, it was nice to see her there on the front of the paper and read about it. It's funny, there's so many things I wish I could tell Daddy, of course. You think about that when loved ones pass away. Of course, I wish he could see all his great grandkids. He didn't get to see any of them. I wish, Miss Cindy could see Ira and Woodrow. But one of the main things I wish I could tell Daddy was, Daddy, do you know that Katie gets rocks out of the creek and makes stuff out of them and sells them? And not only that, she makes a pretty good living. I mean, of course, she's a silversmith too. She buys rocks too, but still, that just her business is coalesced around rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he'd think that.
He would think that was funny. Yeah, I can just see him laugh and chuckle and, but also be very pleased.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he knew that she liked rocks. He would look out for them, and he'd pick them up sometimes and give her a little rock or something. He'd give Corey a little round rock, and she kept it with her like all the time and carried it different places. And if you watch their videos, I know she's probably shared in one of their videos that one time her and Katie went up north to make music, and she didn't take it out of her pocket at the airport. So then they made her undo her pockets, and they seen it. She didn't take it out when they asked her, and then they could see it, I guess, on the x-ray or whatever. Anyway, and she was just terrified that they were going to keep that rock. They give it back to her. She said they looked at her like she was crazy, but she was just so like, you cannot keep my Pap's rock, you can't. It's what she was thinking in her mind. I'm going to have to make a scene or something, but anyway, he would get a kick out of that.
Yeah, he would.
When I was little, I liked rocks, not like Katie, but the ones I liked are really the ones that she's used a few of them in some of her designs, but are the creek rocks that are, and it's funny, I say creek rocks, but you wouldn't believe, even here in Cherokee County, some creeks don't have rocks like ours. I mean, it's different how each little creek has their own style of rocks, but ours are, I don't know what are they made out of, like the black, smooth, that gets so smooth.
A lot of it's a lot of slate and a lot of quartz.
And they're just so smooth and slick, but they're not rounded. Like, you go to some creeks or rivers and they're all rounded and they're so pretty because they're all round. But ours are not. They're more flat and oblong and different shapes. So those are the ones I loved. And somewhere I've still got, like, I had a whole little collection of little tiny ones that was like that I loved when I was little. It is interesting, though, you go to different creeks. I can't think of, like, maybe Rattler Ford or Standing Indian, somewhere where we used to go camp, and they were all smooth, but they were rounded rocks. There's no rounded ones in our creek. Maybe ours is too not flowing enough, not bold enough to cause that phenomenon, or maybe it's a different, like you said, a different kind of rock. Yeah. So did you like rocks when you were little?
Yeah, I mean, I like arrowheads and stuff, but I spent a lot of my time looking for those little round rocks about that big around that I could shoot in a slingshot.
Oh.
My uncle made me slingshots there for a little while, and I got kind of enamored with those, so I would hunt just the right size and right shape rocks and had me a little pouch. Every time I found one, I'd put it in it, and I'd get them all get enough of them build up to where I could shoot my slingshot.
Pap told me a great story about Papa Wade. His father told him back when he lived in Madison County, North Carolina, when he was just a boy, that they fixed a place. And my mind, I don't have a mechanical mind, so I can't even hardly understand it. I'm sure Matt can, but like where the water would purposely, like in a creek, where it would purposely just turn stuff over and over and over, and they put rocks in it, and it did make them round like that, like Matt's talking about. And that way they had marbles. They were doing it to get marbles, and they didn't have any marbles, but they figured out how they could do that, making their own marbles. I thought that was just genius.
That's a long-term type of thing.
Yeah.
It takes a while to do that.
Yeah. That was interesting, though.
Yeah, it is.
When the girls were real little, one of their cousins gave them it wasn't actually a rock. It was a little piece of glass. It was blue, but you know, like the little stones you can buy to decorate with and stuff, or put around your flower pots or something. Anyway, they really loved that little rock, though. I don't remember now if it was Katie or Corey. I'd have to ask them. But for a while there, they carried it around with them, you know, and it was just a little blue, just a little pebble looking, but it was really glass. But he told them it was a rock, and they thought it was a rock. So they had it at church one time, and some other little kids was there and sat near us, and they seen it. So the little boy was older than Corey and Katie, but so he wanted to know what is that? And Katie, or whichever one it was, said, "That's my rock. I got it. It come from my creek." It didn't really come from the creek, but that's what they thought because the cousin had given it to them. Anyway, but I won't never forget that little boy said, "Mama, can I go to their house? Look what kind of rocks they've got in their creek." It was just bright blue, you know. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
He's like, "I want to go to that creek where there's rocks like that." And they've always looked for rocks that are shaped like hearts, and you wouldn't believe how often that actually comes up.
Yeah, they found bunches of those.
They have, yeah.
I've even been on the creek down here, you know, at the garden, or even up the creek here a little ways, and I've seen them laying out on the bank, and I know they found them and just threw them on the bank and going to come back later. You know, you find a little heart-shaped rock on the bank, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But that's happened enough times that I know they've threw it up on the bank, and with the intention of either, you know, picking it up on the way back out or coming back later and getting it, and they just forgot about it. I've seen that several times.
One time they found, if I can find the pictures, I'll share them, but one time there was one that looked like it had been stamped with a heart, like if you had a stamp of a heart, and it had a little indentation that was just like a heart. One time when Corey and Katie and my niece April, they had playhouses all over the place, but at one time they had this really elaborate one in the creek behind now where Corey and Austin are living, but that was my brother's house. And they'd built all these took rocks and built these little trails even in the creek, and they had them like a little office, like sitting in the creek, like a little old desk and a chair. It's a real shallow creek. And I think they were using they found white rocks. They would use that as their money, like that was their money. Anyway, they had this real elaborate thing, and they wanted me and Matt to come see it, so we did one time. And in the shadowy parts where the laurels grow over, there was a rock, and they told us they wanted us to see their heart rock or something, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" So it was like seems like it was like an orangey colored rock that you sometimes see in the creek, but there was one place that looked like a heart in it of a different color. It was weird, yeah. So they've always had an eye out for the heart rocks. Really special at Corey and Austin's wedding. That was what they give away, like their little token was a rock that people could take home and put in their flower bed or whatever and remember that day. We even give away some here on the channel, so that was neat. And one more interesting thing about rocks, which is somebody had to tell me this. I mean, somebody told me this when I worked at Tri-County. I learned this. Is scary. I mean, it's just odd and weird, but it's strange. But apparently people that are on meth sometimes become obsessed with rocks. I've heard that, you know. It's just a strange story, but this gentleman told me that he used to be a sheriff's deputy, and there was like a local person that they always knew was kind of doing that, an older person actually, but anyway, they were always kind of watching him to make sure what was going on, you know. He'd been in trouble with the law a lot, in other words. And so he pulled him over one night for whatever it was. I can't remember now. Turned out he let him go because he wasn't actually doing anything. But inside of his truck, he was just, like a single cab truck. He was driving, but everywhere else was rocks just stacked, like even in the floorboard up to the ceiling, just stacked with rocks everywhere. And I said, why? I think that's the first person that told me. And he said, because people on meth sometimes become obsessed with rocks. I was like, really? Oh my gosh. And then after that, I kept hearing other stories about that, about people collecting rocks.
That's weird.
Yeah. So strange how that would, for several different people, that drug would activate that part of your brain, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Don't want to know.
No, I know. That's why I said it's kind of scary, strange. But as far as for Corey and Katie, I think they were just like me, especially Katie, just the water and the rocks in the creek. They're just so pretty and so all the different shapes and sizes. And yes, just amazing that she was able to actually take her love of rocks and create a career around it.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I have a video too, a long time, one of the first videos I guess we did, and I interviewed Katie about it, and I can't remember now what I titled it. I can't remember, but I'll link to it below and you can go see. But when we did that, I think maybe it was something like how I make money with rocks. I can't remember, so I can't say what it was. Anyway, you'll go see what the title is. But we didn't even think about, it was a video that did very well, but most people that clicked on it, they thought she was making money from rocks, as in drugs, like rocks.
Really?
Yeah. You read, and we started getting the comments, was like, oh, I thought, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I never even thought that was like a reference to drugs. Anyway, I'll link to it, and Katie talks about her love and, how she learned, and, silversmithing and the lapidary stuff, all of it. Anyway, interesting. But it is, like, for a long time that was one of our most popular videos, but it was really the title that got people's attention. And of course we didn't even realize we were they thought we were using innuendo to talk about drugs, and we weren't, of course. We were talking about Katie's love for rocks. But funny.
Yeah.
Funny. Well, we got a lot of corn to get to.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get it all shucked and then get it put up and put it in the freezer, and it'll be a lot of work, but my goodness, it'll be good this winter, won't it?
It will.
We put up some last year that we got just from Farmer Tim down the road, and it was really good, and I think it's all gone, but it was good. But it'll be extra special knowing we grew this.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, it'll be really nice.
Let's get to it.
We're always glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia.